What's up guys, let's be honest, there's a shit ton of items dropping in Path of Exile, and as a new beginner, it can be kinda hard to decide which items you should or shouldn't pick up. In this video, I'm gonna show you which items you should pick up. Thank you for watching. What's up guys, LiftingNerdBro here. Today we're going to talk about which items are worth picking up and which ones you shouldn't bother with. Now, let's start with the basics, gear items. In Path of Exile, there are 4 rarity tiers for items. There's the normal white item that has no affixes. And in case you don't know what affix means, it can be understood simply as the amount of different stats an item can have. And as you can see, this item has no stats or affixes. The next tier is the magic blue item, and that usually has between 1 and 2 affixes. Next one is the rare yellow item, and usually has between 3 and 6 affixes. The last one is the unique orange item, and a unique item can have a wide range of affixes, and it is very different from each unique item. That basically means that you can easily find a unique item with only 2 affixes, while the next one you may find can have up to 6 affixes. It really comes down to the specific design of the unique item. So, when you start out in Path of Exile, you'll want to arm your character as fast as possible to make him stronger. And that basically means that blue items and even white items can be useful in the beginning of the game. I recommend picking up blue items until you have equipped your character with a magic or rare item in each slot. If you have a blue item with terrible rolls, it can of course be a good idea to pick up another pair of gloves, identify them and see if they provide better stats and then change them. So let's equip these shoes in this slot. Oh yeah, so strong. When most of your item slots are either equipped with magic or rare items, you can start to ignore the blue magic items and only pick up the rare or yellow items. And of course, the unique items. It should of course be said that a blue item can easily be better than a rare or even a unique item, if it has some good affix rolls. However, the chance of a blue item being better than a rare item is much lower, simply because the rare item can roll more affixes. When you get to late game, things will change, and white items has the potential to be worth quite a lot. However, since this video is aimed for beginners, we're not going to cover that. That is for another video. The next type of items we're going to talk about is currency items. Currency items are usually used for trading with other people or to manipulate the affixes on an item. Currency items can be identified by their brown, goldish colored text title, as you can see right here. Now, the first currency items you're likely to encounter is the Scroll of Wisdom and the Portal Scroll. While these are very common, I highly recommend picking up all of them until you have a small sustainable stack. When this is achieved, you may want to stop picking up all of the scrolls that drop and instead only pick them up when you start to run low. However, some people like to trade a large amount of wisdom scrolls for a small amount of higher tier currency, so if you feel like it's worth your time, then by all means keep picking up all of the scrolls. The next currency items you're likely to encounter in the beginning of the game is the Orb of Transmutation, Orbs of Alteration, Orbs of Augmentation, and the Chromatic Orb, as well as the fairly common Armorer Scraps and Blacksmith's Whetstones. All of these currency items have different properties, and while they are regarded as a low tier of currency items, they can be really useful, and lots of people are willing to trade a small amount of higher tiered currency for a larger amount of lower tier currency. For instance, in my experience, it's not unnormal to see people trade 20 of these Orbs of Alteration for 1 Chaos Orb, such as this one. As you progress throughout the game and reach higher level content, you'll find new and higher tiered currency. I highly recommend picking up all of the currency items, as you are going to either trade or use that currency later on in the game. With an exception of course to the Wisdom and Portal Scrolls. That is really up to you if you want to pick it up or not. It doesn't make too much of a difference. In a future video I'm going to show you how each of the currency types work, but for now let's move on to the next type of items you should always pick up. The next type of item you should always consider picking up is skill gems. In Path of Exile, it's fairly normal to reroll and create new characters, And if you always make sure to pick up at least one of each skill gem, then you're going to have a much easier time when creating a new character, as you won't have to either trade or complete a specific quest to receive the skill gem. There are certain skill gems that will sell for a high amount of currency. As of now, these skill gems are Multi-Strike, Spell Echo, Cast when damage taken, Greater multiple projectiles, Reduced mana, Melee Splash, Chain, and the Portal gem. All of these gems are usually sold for 3 to 6 chaos depending on the buyer, so if you have the option of picking up these skill gems, make sure to do that, even if it's just for trading. Another thing you should always be on the lookout for is superior skill gems, which is basically skill gems with an added percentage of quality, such as this one. Having a good quality roll on a skill gem can make it a lot stronger, as well as making it worth a lot more. However, even if you find a useless skill gem with quality on, make sure to stash it, because if you have enough of these skill gems with added quality, you can trade them to the vendor for a GCP, also known as a Gem Cutter's Prism, which is a currency item that can be worth quite a lot for a new player. Let me show you how this vendor recipe works. To be able to trade your quality skill gems for Gem Cutter's Prism, the total amount of quality on all of the gems will have to reach or exceed 40%. So just like this. As you can see, we can now trade a GCP or a Gem Cutter's Prism. Let me just do that. And now that we're talking about vendor recipes, this may be a good time to show you why you should always, in the beginning of a new league or as a new player, pick up superior flasks as well. Superior flasks are simply flasks with added quality, such as these. And just as with superior skill gems, you can trade these for a type of currency to the vendor. In this case, we will receive a Glassblower's Bauble if the total amount of quality on the flasks reach or exceed 40% quality. Let me show you. Let's trade with the target here. And as you can see, because we reach or exceed 40% quality, we will now receive a Glassblower's Bauble. Very nice. Now, one of the last few things I would recommend you to always pick up is what we call a chromatic item. A chromatic item is an item such as this one that has one of each color socket linked together, a green, a red, and a blue. If we trade this item to the vendor, he will in return give us back a chromatic orb. Let's do that. This is really useful, and since you'll be using a lot of chromatic orbs throughout the game, it is highly recommended that you always make use of this vendor recipe. Remember, the sockets have to be linked together for this recipe to work. Besides the chromatic item, it is also a good idea to pick up 6 socketed items like this one. And just as with the chromatic item, we will get currency in return by selling it to the vendor. However, in this case, we are getting 7 Jeweler's Orbs in return, like this. And this is a quite nice bonus because we'll be using a lot of Jeweler's Orbs throughout the game. So remember to pick up these 6 socketed items. It should, however, be noted that they will only drop later on in the game, and it is not something you should look for in the beginning of the game. The last thing I want to show you that you should always pick up is a 5-linked or a 6-linked item. These items are not only highly usable, they can also be worth a lot, especially a 6-linked item. These items are rare though, and you should not expect to find a lot of these. During my 1000 hours of playtime in Path of Exile, I have found 4 5-linked items and 0 6-linked items. So it's not something that grows on the trees, guys. It's not something that grows on the trees. So if you find one of these items, well played, sir. Well played. That is pretty much what I want to show you today, guys. Hopefully you can now start to throw out some of that trash you've been hoarding and instead make room for some shiny new equipment. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?